Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Witness Protection Podcast. As always, I'm your host, comedian JC Heat. Now, this week, we're going to really talk about Baltimore and the stuff that's going on there, race relations and the police. But I want to start off with something everybody was talking about. The fight of the century, Pacquiao-Mayweather. Mayweather wins by unanimous decision. Boring. Snoozeville. So let me get this straight. People paid $100 to see two middle-aged guys throw some crappy punches and see Mayweather win by decision. Not a knockout, not ref bleeding stoppage. It's like not the stoppage, but unanimous decisions. Like seems like Mayweather likes to beat people by unanimous decision. That's why they say Mayweather was never an exciting fighter. He's a great technical fighter, exciting. And he tried to say, he's better than Ali. Hell, he's not even better than George Foreman. This is sad, sad, sad. People spend $100 to see this on pay-per-view. I said it on Facebook before. It's Jipomania. Jip, jip, jip. What a motherfucking jip. And now he says he's finally retiring. He's going to retire all his belts. The WBC belts are now going to be vacant, so you're going to have new champions or whatever. That's cool. Manny Pacquiao getting beat. I was rooting for Manny. But what are you going to do? He lost, but I don't count unanimous decision to me as a big deal. I'm waiting to see, as a boxing fan, I want to see a knockout. I want to see blood. So now that we're through with the Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao chicken fight, that's what I call it, we're going to move on to the bigger story now, the Baltimore riots and the gentleman that was murdered, Freddie Gray. Now, Freddie Gray was supposedly beaten by the police and had an injured spinal cord. Now, supposedly, he asked to be taken to the hospital. He wasn't, and then he passed away. There's been a lot of riots the last week. There's been a lot of people talking to the media. The mayor said some interesting things. Al Sharpton's been on TV. Various law enforcement agencies saying, Baltimore is a pretty safe city. Now, do we have problems? Yes. When it comes to race relations in America, I always say, you have to see things to believe them. Now, is race in America better than it was 20 years ago? I think so. I think race relations have improved in the last 20 years. I genuinely do. But I will say, as a man that comes from a law enforcement background, now, let me say, on my mother's side of the family, I have cops. My uncle was a cop in Boston. My father's side of the family, many of my cousins are law enforcement in South Jersey, from state police to Atlantic City Police Department, all sorts of things. So I have, I'm quite familiar with police and procedures and things like that. So I will say, and being a criminal justice student, I'm about to graduate my degree in criminal justice. I've seen a few things already. So, am I shocked? Police brutality, impropriety? No. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in the most dangerous, corrupt state in the nation, so impropriety and police brutality is pretty normal. It's not going to shock anybody. And at the same time, I think there's police brutality and impropriety pretty much everywhere. Are there racist cops? Yes. Are there good cops? You bet your ass there are. So, there's not as many bad cops as there are good cops. You have to understand that. If you don't believe me, don't believe me. But trust me, they're not all out there to get you just because you're black, or just because you're Hispanic, or just because you're Arab. That doesn't work like that. Now, am I going to say they don't exist? No, they exist. But you can't live your life in fear. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. Another thing we need to talk about is Chris Christie and Bridgegate. Now, the gentleman that was indicted, the Jewish fella that worked for Chris Christie, he admitted that Bridgegate was his idea. So it's been all over the papers now. Christie's been on Twitter and various, news organizations talking about, well, I said from day one I was innocent. Like, I believe that. And Chris is thinking about running for president. Now, I lived in Jersey when Chris first became governor, and for a little while, I think he does a pretty good job. I think he's a straightforward, blunt guy, like most of us are over there. But running as a Republican in mostly Republican-controlled South and other places like that, the South doesn't really like blunt, straightforward people. Now, trust me, I'm a Jersey guy that moved to the South about 2 years ago. They don't like straightforward and blunt. They find that rude and tactless. So Christie campaigning through most of the Republican South to become the Republican frontrunner, I don't see it happening. I see Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush getting that spot over Christie purely because they're scandalous and, they're from there. It's easier. Chris Christie is a stranger, and that scandal, even though now they're saying he had nothing to do with Bridgegate, he's not innocent. I still believe he had something to do with it. Like I said, this is the Witness Protection Podcast. I'm leaving something. I left Jersey for some reason. I wouldn't be in witness protection if I didn't have to be. But like I said, Chris. You been bad, as we say in Jersey. You been a bad boy over here. You gotta quit breaking the balls of the politicians and do what you're supposed to be doing. You're not to jack the bridge. What you doing, man? Just go out there, do your job, do your other year, put it in, and do what you gotta do. And that's your advice from your boy Joey Bag of Donuts, telling you, I'm gonna go to Staten Island, go to Long Island, and hide out a little bit. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna tell you, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about this mother. That's how you do it. You have to understand that. But Chris, I wish you the best. Are you gonna become president? I don't think you are, but you're gonna give it a shot. I mean, if you want to spend all your money, who am I to judge? Spend it all. Pull a Linda McMahon. Spend, $200 million to not get a job.